Everybody, welcome back to the Friends Podcast, man. Thank you so much for coming back and
Yes,
listening to
sir.
us. And if it's your first time, thank you so much for coming through. We definitely appreciate everybody that's listening and tuning into us. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Matt, and I'm here with my co-host.
My name is Rod, and this is the Friends Podcast. Make sure you check us out wherever we're streaming. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And also check out our socials at the Friends Pod. Interact, check us out. Tell us what we're doing wrong, maybe. Tell us what we're doing right. We want to hear the good and the bad. So, love you.
Yeah, we definitely love you guys, man. We're here, so yeah, like you said, interact with us. Anytime you see fit. So usually, we do solo podcasts where we kind of chop it up about random stuff that we kind of want to talk about. But today we have a special guest in the building. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people who you are.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Matt and Rod, for having me on your podcast. It's a nice, lovely Saturday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and for having me to talk about my art. My name is Lusmerlin. It's Lusmerlin like the wizard. How I like to describe it to people. And I'm a visual artist. I've mostly been doing abstract painting, abstract acrylics, and pastels. Some people think of abstract as the things that don't really look like anything, but it has color and energy. That's the kind of work I do. And lately, I've started working on my project that I call Lusmerlin the Paint Dancer, where it's both visual arts and performance art. And I dance and I paint at the same time, and I paint with my feet. And it's been really fun, very challenging, quite a workout. So I'm really proud of the muscles I'm developing right now. Yeah, so that's what I'm up to these days.
You definitely got to get a pedicure a lot. That's what it sounds like.
I'm not proud of the status of my bathtub sometimes when I'm done working, and it just runs, especially because it's very highly pigmented material. So if you think
Mhm.
of paint and you go to a store and you go and you mix it because you want this perfect color on your wall, on your house, and they're mixing, that actually has pigments to different degrees and makes it darker or lighter. I actually use some of the some of the purest content on pigments, which makes my feet end up super black and super red, and it's quite the scene. So yeah, I think you nailed it there. No pun intended.
Yeah. No hills for you guys.
Is there a reason why
Yeah.
you? Is there a reason why you always use like the super pigmented ones, versus the other ones? Like, is there a reason why you do that? Is there a
Yeah, for
preference?
quality purposes,
Oh, okay.
definitely. Usually I do sell, I show in galleries, I have exhibits. People buy the pieces, and when someone acquires a piece of work, you definitely don't want something that they will hang and then it's going to fade in 1 year to 2 years. A lot of the work you see in galleries or you see in museums after 200, 300 years is because it was high quality pigmentation, high quality materials, high quality preservation. So I don't know. Maybe all my artwork is going to disappear in 5 years, or the moment I die, maybe not, but I would definitely don't want someone disappointed because something was not the best quality. So, yeah. I actually make some of my own paint
Really?
for that reason. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We'll get
Absolutely.
into that definitely later.
Yeah, we can.
For sure. So let's take it back to the beginning because I'm just interested. It sounds like you're very knowledgeable about, what you do. So I just kind of want to, let's take it all the way back. So can you kind of tell the people, where are you from originally?
So I am originally Dominican, middle of the Caribbean, that little island that is shared with Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born and raised there to a family here. That's good. That's great. Yeah, we're kind of. You guys cannot see us, but we're just like doing all these cool moves there. Yeah. So I'm from there, and we have strong cultural attachment to dance, where dance is a way of socializing. It's not just to hook up, although you could if you want, but it's you can absolutely dance with your friends, dance with your family, dance at Christmas parties. And to me, I grew up where my grandfather taught me how to dance. And we had a very special connection. We would go out and he would perform and he would go to competitions. And I have that tradition that I carried for a long, long time. That dance is one of my most passionate art forms,
Mm.
that and developing them and enjoying and expressing myself. So I actually, even though I always liked art, I was very practical and I said, I am gonna choose a major, go to college, something that is practical, gives me money. So I'm actually a chemical engineer and I work in cement manufacturing. I work manufacturing in the DR. I got married. My husband's a U.S. citizen. When I came here, he I started my life here, and I still do both things. I am a manufacturing here,
And
and
Dominican Republic?
yeah. So in the Dominican Republic, I started in pharmaceuticals and quality control, which is really cool. You need to know anything in the world comes from two places: either you farm it or you mine it. You have crops and then you modify it, or it comes from the ground, you blast it, you pick it up, you get a dozer or an excavator, get it out. So it's one of those fields. Even paint comes from the ground. There's areas in the world that you can walk and there's like red sand or blue rock. You literally mine it. So that's kind of my background. So I have that passion for processes. There's art that there's people who think you just have a muse and you're just inspired and inspiration comes to you and it's this magical thing. But
Right.
there's many of us who are experimental and technical and process oriented, in the sense that when I said, okay, I'm definitely going to do this project, I'm going to merge some of my passions, I'm going to dance and I'm going to paint at the same time. How do I make a foot brush? And that's
Mm.
where the your technician comes in, because I'm going to start picking materials, how to shape them, how to make them fit to my foot.
Yeah.
So I sew materials, yarn, mop, elastic, glue guns.
You do all that yourself, huh?
I do all that myself because I
Yeah.
am very picky about how I want the stroke to look. Some people look at the paintings and they're like, oh, yeah, you're just pulling my leg. You're not doing that with your feet. You're lying. Because
Yeah.
I've spent so much time just knowing how do I want my foot brush to look like.
Mhm.
I mean, you're
And
speaking to an engineer yourself. Like, I graduated with electrical engineering, Michigan
nice.
State Spartan. So I'm very
Yay.
technical and process oriented as well. So
Nice.
they're
Nice.
interested to
That's
hear
really cool.
you do art and you also an engineer as well. So
Yes. Yes. So I'm very process oriented. I would say artists that do this, they're sometimes called experimental artists. They're just looking how to put together different areas of knowledge, different areas of the world, maybe science and art, technology and art.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I am between visual, experimental, and performance.
I kind of want to get into the dance part. You say your father and he had a big inspiration on you. And I was looking up Dominican dance, and merengue was the first one that popped up. Is that typically you do the merengue when you do your artwork, or is it a different type of dance that you do?
I do different types. I have definitely done merengue. Merengue is, one of our most popular genres. Bachata is another one that is Dominican. It's just booming all across the world, and I think
Mhm.
it's beautiful how different cultures and populations have created variations, and just it unites everyone through art expression and culture. And yeah, I am a salsa lover. It really is super cool. And I do like lyrical, kind of contemporary, jazzy stuff that is just move around and improvise. So a little bit of everything.
How do you practice your dance? Do you go out and about, or do you just dance around your home, or like what's that like? Like the dance process and how you keep so crisp in your movements.
Well, yeah, I do have to stretch here, on a daily, every other day basis because I'm already in my 30s. So things are starting to hurt. So it's more maintenance, and you have to keep discipline. There's a lot of discipline to art. Then I do continue to go to dance studios. So I take like contemporary dance classes to, keep motion. Everybody has a different way of moving. So you go to quote unquote learn with someone, but what you absorb is how they define motion, how they create
Yeah, for
a
sure.
choreography, and you're always learning.
Can we kind of talk about? Can we take it back and kind of talk about just the beginnings of your art, though? So, like, what initially inspired you to start, doing like visual art versus, you know, physical dancing and stuff like that? What inspired that first?
Just evolution. I think my first art form that I really developed for 5 or 6 years was literature, and I wrote poetry, and it was a creative outlet. I think for many people, creativity is a lifestyle, is in your nature. It doesn't matter what kind of creative you are, you're just having a creative life. You can be a creative engineer, you can be a creative salesperson, you can be like your tool is your marketing, your tool is how you come up with the design, but you're still creative. So I didn't have the money to buy paint or to go to classes. My parents couldn't take me. It just wasn't accessible to me. So I didn't develop the art forms I want. I always liked painting and dancing, but you had to drive an hour and a half away, and they were working full time. So
Hmm.
I'm going to say this: the fact that I moved to a country where I could expand my main career in engineering and make more money and not worry about spending the ridiculous amount of money that I spend on art supplies and art technique and experimentation is one of the main factors to me actually being able to do this. I always wanted to do it, and I didn't do it until I came to the US, because it's the it's just completely different what you're able to do and afford. And I am just so extra grateful, and I feel very lucky that I just had the right set of opportunities and the context to do it. So I actually came here, and the immigration process was a big factor to going full into art, because I was waiting for my paperwork to come in and I had nothing to do. And I'm like, why about I just like start painting and dabbling? Got a little watercolor set. I go to the store. I was gonna get a journal. And next to the journals, there was a watercolor set for kids. And I'm looking at it, and the kid is looking at me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's interesting. And the kid is saying, Lusmerlin, buy me. Buy me now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't buy you. I came to do something else. I'm like, buy me. So I bought it. And
Hmm.
that's where I started. And soon I realized, okay, I need more. I need to learn foundations. I need to learn how to draw. Went to the library, got books, took some workshops, but I'm mostly self taught.
So
Oh.
this was early on in like your teenage years, or with this like when did you? I guess we're trying to figure out when did you gain the love for artwork?
2019.
Okay.
It's very recent. Most people
Ah.
don't. Most people are very surprised. I think I just had it bottled up in me all the time, waiting to come out.
That expression, that freedom.
That
Definitely.
freedom. I live a very free life. I have to say, guys. Priority number one:
Hmm.
freedom.
Let me stop you there. So, like, how did you get to that point? Like, has it always been like that for you? Like, always just been very like freeing. Like, have you always been like that, or was it a process to get to where you are?
I'm gonna say I tend to be the person who does things that she wants and
Okay.
finds a way to achieve them
Okay.
strategically.
Hmm.
Now, freedom is tied to resources. So just put that on steroids. I would say the last 6 years have been really freeing. After I came in 2016. And yeah, so I started drawing, painting. I did pastel abstracts primarily. And when I mentioned the pigments, pastel is actually the solid form of pigments. It's the purest way of utilizing. It's a stick. It looks like chalk, but actually isn't chalk, and you just paint directly with your hands. And I just like that organic feel of just getting your hands dirty,
Right.
putting like right on the surface. Like, no, brushes are cool. I use brushes and all these tools and spatulas. They just feel so sophisticated
Yeah.
Mm.
for me. Like, I need something that is raw and organic. So
So that was the
um,
beginning time for you, right? You don't really put
yes.
pastel chalks between your toes and do your
No,
art like
no,
that. Okay.
no, no, no. But I started thinking about how can I merge these things together, and I had not found a reference to how this was done before. I know for sure this entire category of performance art started, early 20th centuries when it was we have recording that of the different
Yeah.
manifestations, and you probably know around that time there many artists are saying art is just so bougie and so
Hmm.
classist, and it's just these two three things you do and nothing else is art. And they
Right.
s- started experimenting, and the body of the performer and the relationship between the painter and the public, between the painter and society, became a topic. It was about the self, about identity, about being a woman, about being a man, about your sexuality, about how you look, and how you interact with the rest of the world. Those things were present in this art form, and it was not about a 2D piece on a wall that is like just sitting there and not doing anything. It's about time, it's about space, it's about presence, but not like theater. It was kind of anti-theater because theater was the established form, or a ballet is the established form of dance, but this is kind of against that. Like, we can do art in the streets. I'll perform and walk down. I have a friend in the Dominican Republic. He dressed on high heels in the middle of Santo Domingo, in the one of the ghettoest areas, and walked like 5 miles down on heels. Doing that in the DR as a man it's very provoking visually, and that is performance
Is
art.
he okay?
He's fantastic.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So did you know if he received any backlash for that at all, or like?
Oh, there was a lot of reactions. Yes.
Was it
In
videotaped?
the Caribbean, people don't hide their reactions.
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know too much about the Caribbean. We kind of have you here just to kind of tell us. So, like, what was like his even mindset behind doing that? Did he do that literally just to provoke, or just to kind of get a conversation started, or like do you know what his process was with that?
In that case, it was a statement of gender roles and what women endure. So it was actually a man putting themselves in, the aspect, the appearance, and the discomfort of fashion in a woman, and how you're perceived by people in the streets. Like, we get lots of catcalling. People will shout at you in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Hair is a huge thing there. Don't even get me started. And it was kind of this performance is about the experience of being outside of that gender role, or in that gender role, and walking down, and what people react to. And that was the art form.
When you say hair, what kind of hair do you have to have in the Dominican Republic? Like that, I guess that's an interesting thing to me. I would never think just your hair will be a huge part of what people view you as.
I'm going to say 15 years ago in the DR, you could not have natural curly hair and work at a bank. You had to press it. You could never have wet hair. It had to be straight. Straight was the standard of professional looking,
Mm-hmm.
mature, and beautiful.
Right.
I remember it was 2007. The natural hair idea had not really got into the Dominican Republic yet. And I was tired of it. I really hated doing my hair, and I actually chopped it off. Went to my father's barber and I said, Danilo, I'm gonna cut it. And he just looked at me, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Go for it. Do an
Yeah.
inch and a half from so. I'm going to let it grow." And he was like, "Okay." And he cut it. And my mom was outraged. She thought it was a horrible thing to do. My father was always fine, which is funny because my father was, pretty white and had straight hair. He was like, "Yeah, good for you because that's your hair." My mom, who had, like a 4C kinky hair, was the one who was outraged that I had natural hair because that's
Wow.
what we're taught.
Right, right.
And nobody cut their hair. Nobody did that. I would walk down the streets and hear things people saying like, "Oh, a witch," or "a microphone." Like once I had my
A
big fro,
microphone.
or people
That's
who
wild.
knew me who
Yeah.
would say, "Why don't you want to look pretty?" Or "These
Wow.
engineering women are so weird. They don't care how they look. Women have to be beautiful and feminine and dress nicely and have nice
Mm.
hair and all that stuff." Yeah, by the way, I have on my list to get braids sometimes, like real long ones, 20-inch extension braids, and just paint with my braids. That's coming up.
Oh. Okay.
I
Okay. So
don't
that's
know
the
what I'm
next.
gonna be hanging from, but I'm gonna be hanging from something, and I'm gonna be just turning around with braids.
What's that one song that reminds me of? I wave my hair back and forth. What was that? A
Oh, with my
Willows?
hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Willow
Yeah.
Smith. I whip
Mm-hmm.
my hair back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. Yeah,
Yeah. Just play that on repeat while you're doing it for sure. Um.
I should probably try to get copyrights to use it on the video. That's
Yeah.
such a great idea.
So let me kind of go. So let me go back. So you spoke about your friend. You know, he wore the heels. You know, went downtown
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Santo Domingo. So like when you started your, what you're doing with your art, did you have any kind of like radical types of? Were you just doing it just to do it? Not just to do it, but like, did you have any like intention behind what you were doing?
I did see this like Black Lives Matter thing on her Instagram. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. Oh, there's just so much I could say right now about both things.
say
I
it.
am okay. The wow. I'm gonna go in the order of the questions though, so that I can keep order in my head. Yes, is
Yes.
that okay? Thank
Yep,
you.
it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the the thing of the objective, I definitely wanted to join art forms in a way that I have not seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I think technically that's kind of a legacy. I think in terms of creation, when you can make things that are unique and you put it's your addition to what humans are creating
Right.
through history. And I am interested in developing an art form and a way of approaching the art form in a way that nobody really has done. There are examples. There's one example I learned recently about a famous painter, John Cage, who once brought a set of classical dancers and had this 9 meter, I don't remember the length actually, this really long canvas, and had them dance on top of it, and it has all the feet, and then that was the final piece. But he was a separate person. He was a painter directing dancers. It's very rare that you have a painter that actually will be dancing and creating the tools to dance. And so yeah, I did want to create something unique that was not done in the art space. On the personal matter, I have to say I have transformed how I see myself radically after immigrating. I like to say I was never Hispanic until I came here. And I was never really, I wasn't Dominican, I wasn't Latin, I wasn't anything until I came here. And I gained and acquired labels, and I gained and acquired issues, and I gained and acquired the need to have positions on these items that are affecting me or affecting people around me or people like me, or if I have children that will affect them in the way that has been affecting the rest of people who have been here before me. That is very shocking, especially if you come to this country October 2016 and you're an immigrant Everybody wants to know your opinion about the elections. You're a spokesperson for immigrants, for Black, Hispanic, Afro Hispanic women. You everybody expects you're affected or enraged, or you have some of these things, and it all
Yeah, women
comes
rights
at
was
me.
huge.
Hmm?
I said women rights was huge at that time for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's always a topic, but there's definitely peaks depending on the environment, on the political environment. And I found also that I went to work in a industry that is very male dominated and very country located, and it was full of great people that also, we had a process of explaining where I am from, how things are back home, and they were great, and 99% of the time. But I'm always reminded that I sound different, that I look different, that I express myself differently. And everybody had to ask questions. They were curious about what my accent was, where I'm from. Even random people at a store would ask me things like, "What's that accent?" And of course, they're just curious, but the self awareness that comes from on a very regular basis, knowing that you look different, you sound different, you have an accent, people see you differently
Hmm.
was very, it was uncomfortable, and it forced me to think about me and identity and my appearance and how I fit into this new reality in a way that I never had to worry before. In my home country, where we're all, pretty homogeneous and we just, exist. We do have issues, but it's not even close to what you experience here. There's a
And
lot.
you moved to Philly, right?
I moved to Frederick, Maryland,
Okay.
which is kind of mid-sized town, a little bit of everything, lots of
Hmm.
history, uh, groups. It's good. I learned quickly it's very good if you're downtown in professional circles, volunteering circles, the arts. People are great at work. People are aware of many things, but you venture too far out or too far north, and then you find yourself with other groups of people that are not necessarily as welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. There's a group, north of there,
Hmm.
and it it was very shocking because it forced every interaction. I am not exaggerating. It was the first, second, or third question I got in any conversation with a new person ever. Where are you from? Or what's that accent? And it just reminds you all the time, you're not from here, you're not from here, or you're not similar. And I think after understanding how I am part of this puzzle, I decided to claim a lot more of this and make my appearance and my showing up in my art form to be something that I do on my own terms.
Hmm.
If I am going to be a topic because I dance or I have this type of body or I sound like this or I'm doing these activities, I'm going to choose to show it the way I want to show it with the results I choose to show it, and not necessarily be subject to how you want to view it or how you want to perceive my presence, my appearance, and my expression. And I would have never before considered recording myself, regularly or being the center of a piece of work. I wouldn't. I didn't. I never liked calling attention to me and my body or my presence. I was very much about the result of my works. And I am completely different now that I understand that I am going to be evaluated and judged first and foremost based on how I look and how I sound.
Why is that? Why did you feel like you didn't want to do that?
I think I was raised in a family culture that was very strong on humility and very strong on work and work ethics and being very good at what you do and not claiming attention and not valuing your looks. It wasn't a thing to pay that much attention to those things. My mom and my dad are people who look very differently, and they had their share of issues, 40 years ago when they decided to be together because of people not accepting it. In the
Hmm.
Dominican Republic, where we're all black and mixed, but they never emphasized it. And you would think it's not true. I didn't really think about my appearance much. So
Mm.
now it's completely the opposite. It's a statement. It's my presence. It's part of the identity. It's part of the artwork. And my background from dancing and what it means for me as part of my cultural heritage and my family is part of the artwork. And what it means for me to be a woman from the Caribbean here in the middle of these issues is part of my art statement.
Hmm.
And if I'm going to be dancing at some point, ballet, it is going to be part of my statement. That's an entire new thing about, art forms and culture. And yes, I did want to place myself in space and time with art as
Okay.
an individual.
I want to get into what sets the mood for you when you're in the process of creating this work. Is it something that you happen to look at the news, like we were saying with social or political things going on, or what's your process to when you start work, and how often does that really happen for you?
I don't know that it happens constantly anymore. I feel it's more of that internal, slow, introspective understanding of items and issues. And I've interfaced with a lot of artists that were back in Frederick, Maryland, where nobody could be a minority artist in a main gallery downtown. And
Mm.
it's not a single time that it's not a single event that necessarily moved it, but it's the accumulation of items and the accumulation of conversations and trying things and understanding and getting to understand how things why things were that way. For example, I what you asked before about the Black Lives mural, and that there was this entire movement called the Soul Street Market put together by Black youth in Frederick,
Okay.
Maryland. And I was a vendor in a market. It was supporting local businesses. Um, in the midst of the entire Floyd thing, I'm not, we don't, that we all know how it all went. So emotions are running high. I stumbled upon another person strong in activism, and what we worked on creating a piece. It was going to be her personal piece, and I was going to work with her. She thought I was the right artist for it,
That's
and
awesome.
it transformed into we should make it a moving mural
Mm.
that can be in different locations, and we wanted to place it somewhere that art is not typically present. We didn't want it necessarily in the downtown where all the nice stuff is. We wanted it in the places where there's no budget for art or where people are going to see themselves.
Hmm.
The reference, and you probably saw that their article, and I think I have the article on my website,
Yeah.
which is lusmerlin.com. And the reference is actually me, myself, my face, my big fro. It has this huge hair. I remember one person's like, why does she look like Medusa? And I'm like, exactly, that's my experience. It's my huge hair.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was downtown. It moved two locations, and now it's living in a special project that supports low income families while they make progress to better lives. So it's in a community that sees themselves represented in art with investment in it from the city. And I after that, her name is Natasha. She's incredible.
She an
And
activist?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And what
Uh,
area is she from?
She's in Frederick, and on
Okay.
Instagram she's on Brown Girl Farming, because she's also a farmer, and she's spent time about, black people, brown people, and how they have related or not to farming
Hmm.
throughout history, and encouraging, going to those activities. So that's kind of one of
Hmm.
her areas of activism, and she's a beautiful soul. And we said, you know what? Let's try to get other artists. Let's find those artists that are not represented downtown, and let's try to get an activities, do group shows, do other murals, because we went through the drill of applying to the city, applying for budget, and we found no opposition. In
Wow.
fact, the city and the arts council, they wanted it, but they had no knowledge how to actually find them, reach out to them, and make people apply for these opportunities. It's the same
Right.
people
Right.
applying to opportunities over and over again. And we tell them, you have to do the legwork. I came in recently, but based on what I have learned talking to other people, and the history of the lack of trust and the lack of inclusion, now people in the mainstream have to do the legwork to find the people and build the trust and build examples and role models so that others can follow.
Right.
And what I experienced was, it was very hard to find black artists and brown artists that, were full of energy, because they had already been turned down.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had already tried. They had already applied for something and got feedback that sounded like nothing. And in some cases, I'll tell you, most of the cases, what happens is the art world has rules that if you're not inside of it, you don't know that these are kind of rules of how to present your work, how to, like, what they're looking for, etc. So if you come from a group that has not been exposed to this kind of educational mindset, and you apply, your chances are low. It's almost as if you need an insider coach to present your work, know how to frame it, know how to talk about it, understand what the art lingo is, understand, for example, they are caring a lot about, when you apply to a gallery, they care about the material they use, because all of them are using high grade. Yes, you could be a great artist, but maybe you don't have the educational background and you don't
Hmm.
know how to talk about pigments. What's going to happen with a gallery? They're going to think, I don't know, I like this artwork.
Mm-hmm.
However, the quality of this and the reputation of the gallery and of the artist may go down, because what if this artwork doesn't sustain when it's outside or hanging and it fades? So it's actually those things, that kind of knowledge that we haven't necessarily had access to, that block these applications.
I guess I want to get into some tips that you would give to people.
To
Since
people,
yeah, like just in general, the young artists who don't know those rules, and they're just doing all of the things wrong, as you just said, that people don't want to see. Like, what
yeah,
kind
you
of
can
tips would
do
you
them
give them?
wrong with great work. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You can have
Hmm.
great work and still be rejected. I think you definitely have to network. You definitely have to, find those people that will be supportive, those artists that are seasoned and they are there, and talk to them and be a sponge, and
Mm-hmm.
not be very proud, and really understand, and ask them questions like, how do you frame them? Who frames them? How do you choose a frame? What kind of glass are you using? I use conservation glass that is, blocks 99% of light. That's the guarantee I tell a client.
I didn't even know that.
Yes. So if I go to an art gallery, when I joined the first gallery, they asked me to apply, and I talked about these things. They thought, well, she's new, she doesn't have a lot of experience, but look at how she cares about the quality of the work. She has potential. She's going to evolve while she's there. She's studying all these things. And they gave me a shot.
Okay.
So it's
Rightfully
it's
so.
fine.
You're talented.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. But everybody was much more experienced than me. But you do have to find those artists that are seasoned, they're in the gallery, observe, read the resumes. How did they get there? That list, that sequence of galleries that they started tells you a path. Follow that path. Reach out to them. Go to galleries, see what they are showing, and talk to the people they're showing there. Tell me about the artists. How do they do their work? You don't have to tell them you're an artist, but just hear the people in the gallery talking about the work there and how they talk about it. How they
Mm-hmm.
talk about it
For
tells
sure.
you what they care about, how they select them. And then you know which one is the gallery for you. I can send now 50 applications. Maybe I get a return from 5. Maybe they're not even accepting.
Hmm.
Maybe it's not the vibe. Some just do traditional, some do abstract. It has nothing to do with you. You have to find the right gallery for you, and you can only do it by finding the artists and finding the right galleries, and then listening to what they are looking for.
I'm kind of more interested in the community and how did you build your community, like your art community? I'm sure you have many friends. You just talked about networking, and what was that process like for you?
I before I was out in the art world, there's something that galleries usually do. It's a reception for artists. The
Okay.
first day, the first weekend, you go there. There's mingling, wine, cheese before COVID, and I'm thinking, you're giving me wine for free and cheese for free,
Yeah.
and I get to see art. And I would go to every gallery in town, every reception, every month for at least a year.
Mm.
This is 2019, Lusmerlin, right?
2019, 20, yes.
Okay.
So by the time, and I was just learning at the time, but then they saw my face, they recognized my face. I listened to them and they are happy to talk about their work,
Hmm.
and they love me at this point, and then you learn and you like get a feel for this gallery. These people are like this, these people are not like this. When they invited me to one of these galleries, I already knew 4 or 5 of them. I already had the comfort of saying, hey, before I apply, can you check my application? Can you
Right.
check the paintings that I'm going to submit for you guys to see? Because you basically have somebody who's there for you. If you go cold application, your odds are a lot lower.
Hmm.
It's all about the relationships, unfortunately. And you can make them by just going again and again and again.
So let me ask you this. So you're somebody that seem very knowledgeable about like what goes on in the world, in the art world, and even about the history. You were talking about the history. You were very knowledgeable about that. And I don't want to look too far into the future for you. I don't know if you're like somebody that like likes to plan ahead 5, 10 years. But like, do you ever see yourself consulting, or do you ever see yourself teaching young artists and kind of molding them into what they want to be at some point?
That
Yeah, I was like, you will be a teacher
is
for sure.
Yeah, I do have a lot of passion for coaching. I always have someone who's like either sent me a resume and I'm checking it for them, or who needs advice, or I say, hey, talk to this person. So I do a lot of that in the background anyway. And I
Okay.
have thought, once I'm ready to do early retirement from engineering, probably to go on consulting either for, I haven't really thought for artists, but definitely for immigration and minorities.
Mm,
I some of us For some of us, the hustling and the networking comes more naturally, and figuring things out
Yeah.
is natural. But some people are talented and don't have that.
right.
And I really have been so successful in such a short time, and feel that there's techniques that can be done and passed on. I don't think there's special things about it, but it's the right thing. So I've thought about that, probably coaching in that area. I do want to become an artist full time,
Hmm.
and I am working on possibly NFTing some of my work.
Mm,
So that is going to happen this year.
okay. Cool.
Talk about that cryptocurrency and such a hot topic, Web 3.0. Like, how did you
Yeah,
hear about all that? That's a new thing, and I feel like this millennial Gen Z age.
I'm always reading, always in the know, news, podcasts, seeing what other people do.
Is that like a finance article or page you look at? Like, we're particular.
I Okay, I'm gonna tell you my main source is people.
Okay.
My social media is pretty curated, and I do make friendships with people in all ends of every spectrum you can imagine. People who are about finance, people who are about art, people who are very far left, people who are ultra conservative, and I get to hear what all of them have to say about anything at any given time. And I just observe and I listen. And when something catches my eye, I'm like, oh, what is this person saying? Then I go there and I read and I Google it up.
Yeah. You were saying you moved from I guess from wherever you were from in 2019 and everything was like homogeneous. So moving here
2016.
2016. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So 2016 you moved. What made you feel like you wanted to be more outspoken and you wanted to get involved in all these different issues and things that were going on when you just kind of gotten involved? I guess in 2016 you see it all around you, but like why do you care?
I think it's a pressing need. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it except of the urge to express it and the urge to say it. It's the same feel as the urge to have art. I have to make it. When it's there, I have to make it. And when I have to speak something, I have to speak it. And I think, there's power to our words. I think there's power to our skills. And if one has the ability to express maybe more eloquently or maybe in an art form more than other people, I always feel like we have at least a duty, even if it's just from time to time, to use some of that for whatever issue you feel is important to you. I'm not an activist artist. Like, not all of my art is about activism. However, when there's an issue that is pressing for me, I do believe in using art to support that issue and
Mm.
that position.
Now, let me take it back to something I meant to ask you earlier when we were talking about it. You were kind of talking about engineering your own foot brush, right? So can you kind of talk about like what the process was with that? Was it like a lot of sketches and drawings and like, okay, I need this many, this size foot? Like, how was that whole process?
The process was more like controlled chaos.
Okay.
Go to 5,000 home stores and get everything you find in dollar stores
Hmm.
and a sewing thing and put a sock on. I didn't really do drawings because fitting my foot is kind of weird. It has this shape and it really depends on how you move your feet and how much you're going to rotate your feet to then put it down if you're going to use your toe. So I couldn't redesign it. I had to put it on, add material to certain parts in certain shapes, and then try it and see, okay, I am using mostly this side of my toe, not the right side, more like the left side. Let me
Hmm.
put extra strands here and then sew again. It was more like that iteration. So it was very, very time consuming. Probably a couple months just trying different foot brushes.
Wow. Okay. And then so are you just doing? I think you might have spoke about it earlier, but is it just like canvas? Is it like paper? What kind of what do you paint on when you do the
Yeah.
foot painting?
I use paper for tests, and then the rest is canvas. Massive amounts of canvas. I have 30 yards, single canvas that is 30 yards long right now
Hmm.
in the studio for me to make any size because I'm going big.
Okay,
I,
going big. Okay.
I have a show, a solo show coming up in September
Mm,
in at the Delaplane Arts Center in Frederick, Maryland, and I have a very nice first floor gallery there.
that's great.
I'm going to put some really large work there. It's going to be experimental. There's actually a couple of doors in there so you can make interesting shapes around the doors. I'm thinking,
Mm.
it's not going to be like your boring squares. I'm going to make weird ass shapes there.
And how far are you within your art of doing what you want to display there? Like how far are you into that? Or are you already done?
I'm not done yet. I think there's one large piece that I still want to do. I don't have the space for, so I think I'm gonna have to go to a public park
Mm.
and really lay it out. Maybe a skating park, something like
Yeah.
that, and do that one out. But I have a lot of inventory that it's always rotating. So if you go on the site and you see some pieces, that's probably half of what I have right now.
Hmm.
There's some that are sitting and curing that I'm still processing, and then I put them out and it rotates. So yeah, I'm sitting on a lot more work than I display at any given moment. I could put the show up. I could put a show up right now
Yeah.
for sure, but it's not for this show. These are not the pieces I want to use.
Okay.
And so this is not your first solo show, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I took one down in May, and I have a group show in Westminster, Maryland, up right now also.
Ah, okay. Now, like, so when you had that first solo show, did you feel any nervousness? Like, how was that even putting that together? Like, did you feel anything, or were you
That
just like, okay,
butterflies in the stomach.
yeah, or were you just ready to go?
I expected to have many reactions of the type. This is not art. Anything is art these days. People have forgotten the golden day of the masters, and look at what they're doing. I expected a lot of that, and I
Hmm.
didn't get any of it. I People who saw it and understood the effort of trying to develop something very different, they were very appreciative of the effort and the process and the results, because the paintings look like abstract paintings that are fully achieved, fully composed, well utilized, and with my feet. It took a long time to get to that point. I'm very proud of it. I don't want to brag, but it was so much work to know how to do this with my feet where people can't even believe that it was made with my feet.
Yeah, but we seen the videos.
Yeah,
We
when I
saw it.
seen it, I was like, man, I couldn't believe it was made with your feet. Do you videotape everything? Like the whole
Most of
process?
it.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I don't have it, it's because I did something stupid, or I was almost about to fall, or something in my clothes was showing weird, or I hated my hair in it. I gotta say, I have a lot of material for a fail composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, a
I,
lot.
I feel like people want to see that, the bloopers of the whole process, the artwork, and
It will happen when I am psychologically ready for it.
I feel you. I feel you on that.
I'm not there yet.
Now, like, what's your thoughts on like live? Like, so when you do have like another solo show, like, what's your thoughts on doing a live painting there? Like, is that something? Does the process take too long where you can't do it there, or like, would you
Yeah,
ever do that?
I am hoping one day, I want to pitch to larger spaces, maybe museums. I am hoping for a day where at the beginning of the artwork there's a performance live, and then that stays as part of the show. That has been done with other different type of performance art. So I know for sure it can be done. The only live work I've done, obviously, those that I'm recording, some of those are public spaces. So I went to a conference, a construction, women in construction conference in San Francisco. And of course, I traveled with paint in my bag,
Mm-hmm.
had an extra day, and I set up in Union Square. So when I'm
Mm.
there, people are walking by, people are recording. So I feel very comfortable doing things in front of people. So yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. That's good.
I guess I want to talk about what's your dream space or dream museum or state that you will want to work in and do your artwork live.
Outer space.
Okay.
Wow.
Damn.
Go on SpaceX
Next
and
to
do
Elon
advanced
Musk.
paint on it. Yes.
Damn.
Okay. I would love to
Wow.
actually go out in space
Yeah.
but you'll be floating, right? So
We can no, I think we can work something out. I think we could put the canvas on the roof.
the painting's just like floating beside you and
Well, the paint, it's gonna either flow or go upwards depending on the motion, right? We can just, instead of putting the canvas at the bottom, we put it on top.
it's no gravity. So you don't know where it's gonna go, right?
I know, I know. Let me
So
be
it can go.
hopeful.
Yeah, you're just trying to crush
Yeah,
dreams. Come on now.
No,
I can see that.
I can see it for sure. Like her dancing in space.
yeah, yeah. Like that Space Odyssey video. It's one of my favorite things. What was his name? The astronaut. That song, the David Bowie song, the one that goes, "Here am I sitting in a tin can,"
Na,
and he
na,
was
na, na, na,
floating,
na, na.
I couldn't even tell you.
and he was the first person basically to sing a song in space. He took his guitar, recorded it,
Mhm.
sent the videos back to Earth, and his son basically produced the video. And
Wow.
it's just one of the most beautiful things ever. I'm like, can I do that just with painting?
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea. Like if you could be the first, because I already, like I said, we were talking before we recorded. Like you're the first person I've ever seen doing the foot painting and like doing it in that way with dancing. But like if you could be the first one on space, oh my god, that's
I
crazy.
should stop dreaming, maybe.
Nah, I
Hey, I
mean,
think
hey,
Rod, just call your friend Musk, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna call him.
I know you
He,
guys are tight.
yeah, I know. Me and
Yeah.
Elon, we good.
He's
uh-huh.
We
probably
haven't.
distracted with this whole Twitter thing, though.
Yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
got he
like
got his money tied up right now. I don't know if he got SpaceX going right now, but wow, that would be
they don't
so
want to give
crazy.
want him to give up the deal for Twitter. They want to pay for it, so he can't get out
Yeah.
of it.
I can
Hmm.
find
Unfortunately.
fonts for it.
Yeah.
I can actually, like, probably apply for grants.
To buy Twitter.
No,
No,
the
no, not to
doing in
Twitter.
space.
Oh, for the SpaceX.
To
Yeah.
buy the SpaceX. It doesn't even have to come from Elon Musk. I can write grants and be like, hey, can you please give me money so that I go to space and paint with my feet?
Sounds interesting, but I think it could work. I think
I
that could
would
work for
definitely
sure.
finance that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
Everybody
for
want.
your support,
Yeah, I
guys.
know. I mean, everybody want the first, so
Yeah.
like, oh,
I
we
need
haven't
your
done it
help.
before. Yeah.
I need your help.
Now, what would you, okay? So let's take this a little bit further. Like when you go up there, like what do you want to send a message when you paint? Like, is it gonna mean something?
Why I gotta mean something every time? Like, why can't it just be painting in space?
I mean, it could just be painting in space. But what's your thoughts on that, Loosman? Then,
You
like, what?
tell him, right? You tell him.
I guess everything don't gotta mean something, but
No. I'll be happy with just placing a dot on a canvas,
mm,
really.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel that. Okay.
I'm kind of wondering, how do you put together? You said some things that you don't want to involve in particular shows. So how do you decide which artwork to choose for a particular show?
So you take a bunch of pieces that you have and you go with more pieces than you actually need. So if you think the space fits 12 pieces, you go with at least 15 that kind of match and have a similar vibe. It depends on the body of work you have. Sometimes the colors go together, the compositions. Maybe you already had a concept to them. I have, let's say, the San Francisco series. When I went to Union Square, they all had a black background. They have unity. The Montana series have these brown nature like colors. So you take some of these things that relate to each other visually, you lay them out in the space in a way that flows and they communicate, and you choose from there. So I actually observe and move things around and change it out. And it's a very organic process.
Is there anyone a part of that process with you, or is it only you?
It depends on the gallery. Some galleries will have someone hanging with you for assistant, and they can give you recommendations or they can leave you alone. It's on a on one basis, really.
Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. So, like I was saying, the art gallery that you have coming out. What else do you have going on? Like, what does the future hold? The near future for Lusmerlin in 2022 or 2023? What you got going on?
The near future, 2022, 2023, definitely the NFTs, the digital artwork.
Hmm.
I am looking at some of the pieces and they will be animated. That's what I'm in the process of working with experts. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. Working with experts have taken these ideas based on the title of a piece and the feel they have, and creating an animation that is unique to that one piece,
Hmm.
so that the digital product will be unique and is tied to a
Yeah.
physical product in real life. It's not only a digital work, it kind of connects both of those worlds. It depends really on the buyer, but somebody could have a physical piece with the animation, and the animation is a unique artwork. It's video. It has value tied to a physical piece that you also have that I sell regularly. So I'm kind of thinking about that concept, and I'm in the process. I think in a couple of months that's out. And obviously, I publish everything and updates on my Instagram, social media. Everything is at Lusmerlin. And I know you probably have my name written somewhere there, but it's Lus Merlin, Merlin, Lusmerlin.
Hmm.
And it's lusmerlin.com. It's my site. I'm going to have a store online coming up very soon, so people can acquire a piece online. And social media, everything at Lusmerlin. I'll have all my updates there.
For sure. I guess I want to hear what's some wild art stories just in the community that you've witnessed.
Wild.
Yes, wild stories in the art community. Is there any? Is there any?
This is so weird because everything in the art world is random. So I don't even know what you would consider wild.
Mm.
But I think I have a funny story. I don't know if it's wild.
It doesn't have to be
So
wild.
he don't say okay.
It can be
So
mild.
I don't know what would be considered wild. I went to this art gallery, and it was a big reception here in Philadelphia. Lots of people, young people, doing thought provoking things, and
Hmm.
it's not your nice proper gallery all either. There were like giant sculptures that looked like kinky sex toys, but they're made of wood and they're like 3 feet tall and they're white and there's different artists. And actually, it was a collaborative. There were like 5 different artists that work with wood and yarn and rope, and they actually looked beautiful. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So there's a whole gallery devoted to that.
They
The
made three
next
feet
gallery,
tall sex toys.
I mean, they are sculptures of things that I don't think they're meant to be used with that magnitude, but they look like it's like designing a giant toy. So I guess that may qualify for some people as a wild story. But when I walk in, it's art. Like, I'm not surprised that somebody did it because people do that.
Hmm.
Next, as you walked around, there was an artist doing a performance, and he was dressed like a superhero on a platform, and he was full of paint on his entire body, light blue paint, and he was just moving, lying on the floor like he was, dying or whatever. He was doing that for like an hour. People
Wow.
walked by, whatever, he was just doing that. Now, in the next room, there was something that was called it was like a storefront with fake products with funny names, and some
Okay.
of them had like trucks and stuff, and they said that they were boner pills. And I'm like, this is so cool. I went around and I sat in the back at the window, acting as if I was a seller at the store.
Hmm.
So I didn't ask the artist, but if suddenly we're doing a performance together, and I was there for 40 minutes offering boner pills to random people walking up, woman, men, couples, friends, singles, dinosaurs, three tails, whatever you were, like you walked up to there, I went with a smile and says, "Hey, would you like some boner pills?" And there was all sorts of reactions because I thought, how? What is any other situation in the world where I can talk to a stranger and offer boner pills? There's no way I missed this opportunity. Once in a lifetime, I am doing it, and I
Hmm.
loved it.
And this was all at the same place too, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, same night.
Hey Matt, would you have bought some pills? If she want to be like, oh yeah, I got some boner pills for you.
I
You
mean, she
bought
seemed
There
some?
like a
were
good salesman. I might have to buy him. I might
there
have to
were
buy him.
two versions too.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's the versions?
Yeah.
I made everything up. I was like, well, this was like
Last an
quick
hour.
acting, and I would
Okay.
tell them there was these people. They looked like they were on their first or second date, and I would ask them, "Are you getting on the train anytime soon? If you're going now, like you shouldn't take it now. Take it
Yeah.
after you get on the train." Oh, I was terrible.
That is crazy. Wow.
So I don't know if that's a wild story, but it's an art world story.
That's definitely a wild art story.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep, 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 yep.
Boner pills.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. The green box and the yellow box, and I charged them imaginary tokens. I was like, it's 5 imaginary tokens, and they would just put it in my hand, and I put it in my pocket, and I was rich, full of
Hmm.
imaginary tokens that night because most people took them.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know the need was so big, man. The need was there. There's a market for it.
Hmm.
I can imagine. There's a lot of old men out there that just.
It was a very young crowd.
It was a young crowd. Wow.
I am afraid for the future of humanity. We may be going extinct in 3 generations.
Nah, that's a whole different podcast right there. You might be right.
I've definitely heard a
If they
story
need the
about.
pills at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what
But
were you
yeah.
gonna say? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna go back to the main topics. I have some cool green screen material coming up
Mm.
also. Yeah.
Is it gonna be
And
you in space?
I don't know, maybe if I can't raise the funds to go on SpaceX, I'm gonna fake it and just put it on the green screen. Either way, I'll do it.
I'm definitely interested in like you hanging upside down with your braids, and
With
then
the braids,
then the
yeah.
artwork. I can't
Yeah,
wait to see
yeah.
that.
I have actually a long list of variations of things that I want to do, like different materials, different techniques, upside down, and all that stuff. Yes, I
You don't think you
legit
will get a
wrote somebody
headache?
who was absolutely,
Yeah, but
yeah, but
it's for the art. Yeah,
it's
so who
for the
cares?
art. Headaches. I've seen people rolling on broken plates on the floor on the naked bodies for the sake of art. I can definitely hang upside down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's easy.
That's easy. Yes. So yes, the so far I've mostly had just those videos, very short videos, just explaining what I'm doing and so forth. But next couple of weeks, next month, I definitely will have those nice videos that are also a final art piece.
Mm.
Oh, that's not out yet, but
For
it's
sure.
coming up. It's really exciting.
You definitely have to invite us to one of these shows for sure. Cause I want to see
You mean
it.
the shows where there's the wild stories, or one of my art shows?
Both. Oh yeah. I'll definitely be interested in both of them. Like it sounds
In
like a good
both, in
time.
both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You know how to find me, and I know how to find you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is true.
If I need some boner pills, I know what to call.
That's
We
funny.
don't need to know that much personal information about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I did not need to hear that.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, the audience.
I don't know if I can go the rest of my life now. Now I know this.
That's funny. But so yeah, you told the people where they could find you, your website. We'll put all that
Mhm.
stuff in the description. We'll definitely put your upcoming works in the art gallery up. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Like this was a great conversation. Definitely learned a lot about you and about just art in general. So we appreciate that just more than anything for sure. I guess any last words that you want to say to the people before you get up out of here and
Yeah, she's a creator. She made her own foot socks, kind of sewed it
Mhm.
together, and that's crazy. Like I don't even know the process of going through that. That's
Yeah.
very interesting for sure.
Sounds crazy. Yeah. So I guess any last words you want to say to the people? I guess before we get out of here.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Rock. Definitely, the process is interesting,
Hmm.
and it does sound crazy, and I think that's flattering in the art scene. So if you say something is crazy, it's at a minimum it's unusual, and it makes you react to it. I I I want to invite everyone to just experience life and think of things that they're passionate about and feel happy about, and look at all the different manifestations of creativity and beauty and humanity and enjoy it. And hopefully you check out some of the videos and you like the artwork and it brings a smile to your face. So if I am making people laugh a little bit and smile and see something that it just makes them think, I feel like I've met my purpose.
There you have it, folks. And she is very talented. Just check out her page and like you wouldn't believe what she's able to do with a foot.
Man,
Thank you, thank you, thank
for
you.
sure. So this has been the Friends Podcast, man. We're signing out. Check us out everywhere we are. Interact with us, man. We're here. We're here. So go ahead and drop us a comment sometime. But like I said, this has been the Friends Podcast, and we out.
Peace and love.
Take care.